Hey, friend. Welcome to the Inimitable podcast. I'm your host, Jermaine Harrison. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, mentor, visionary, transitional life coach, and of course, I am a neurospicy black sheep. Inimitable means something that is so unique, it is impossible to duplicate. This pod is for the neurospicy who are building mental wealth without a blueprint. Thank you for coming, and if you're here, it's because God needed you here. I hope you enjoy this episode, and I'll see you soon. We are live. We are back. Episode 6. My goodness. And God has been faithful. We have been able to see 6 episodes. I am excited for today, whether you're watching this live or rebroadcast. I have someone near and dear to my heart with me. I've known her for about 10 years now, and maybe even more at this point. Who knows? But she is my mentee. She is a family intervention specialist hailing from the city of Brockton. My mentee, my shug, my baby cakes, Daysja, Lopes. Hello. Say hello to the people.
Hi, everyone. Hi. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. Now listen, y'all. She might be a little nervous, but we're going to get through this because she has a story to tell. And this is why I have her on. You know, this season is really about giving a voice to those who may have been silenced at some point in their life, or maybe just don't know what to say, don't know what to do, you know. And I really wanted to bring you on because the topic of this episode is I'm still trying to figure it out. And I think a lot of us are. I think, truth be told, a lot of us are in these in between weird spaces and we don't know what to do. We really don't. Maybe we have like insight of the direction we're supposed to go, but every day we're just like trying to figure it out. And, you know, I'm in a season right now where, as sure as it looks, I'm just like, okay, God, what are we doing today? Because this is hard and I don't know, this is crazy. So, you know, I just wanted to bring you on so that you can really give insight to what happens in that in between season. But before we get to the in between season, let's give a background on Daysja. Like, who is she? Where did she come from? How did we get here?
Oh gosh, I hate when you ask me that question. If we're being honest, um, like who am I?
Mhm.
Um, I'm me. That's it. No, I'm just joking. um, okay, well, other than the basics of like where I'm from here, but like where I'm really from, um, if I go deep. Well, what I came from, I'm just gonna say.
Mhm.
I think I faced like a lot of hardships growing up. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
just coming from a single parent household and not having like a dad around, just having like my brother and my mom. Even with like having a parent who, is just trying to give you love that they know, like of growing up, like, and that's just a struggle because she's going through her own things.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously I was taken away at some point, like, you know what I mean? But even before that, I feel like this is so weird, but like as a kid, I feel like I was just sad, like, you know what I mean? Like just wondering, like just feeling so much for people. Like I feel like I could just feel like how people were feeling, like, just
Mhm.
sad that my mom had to go to work all the time and like not having too much time to spend with us, like just little things like having to stay home alone, like just you know what I mean? Like just having to take on like a big responsibility of like growing up fast is basically what
Mhm.
I'm trying to say, like and get at.
Yeah.
I feel like since I was younger, I just had this mindset of like, okay, like do better, be better. Like I want to save the world. I want to save people. I want to love on people.
Yeah.
So just carrying that burden, even though no one says it has to be a burden for me, you know what I mean? But like that's just truly how I feel. Like ever since I was a kid, I'm just like, okay, like it's okay, like I'll take care of it. Like I'll do it. Like I got it. Like you know what I mean? Like I've just always
Mhm.
been that type of person. So I guess that was like a struggle. But that's not like all of me. Like like I said, I got taken away and that played like a big transition in my life because I was like 13, 14 at the time. So like,
Mhm.
like real awkward. Like you grow up a certain way with people that and then you're in a shelter with like mad other kids with different other stories. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, wow. Like I used to compare myself to people. Like, I'm not going through nothing that other people are going through. You know what I mean? And that myself would just like, I don't know, like just I wouldn't feel bad for myself. Like, you know what I mean? I was just like, what am I really complaining about? Like, that was like my thing. But I'm just like, I too matter. Like, my feelings mattered. And
Yeah.
so I think that was like something I struggled with. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just suppress my feelings all the time. And I feel like I'm not a confrontational person. I don't like getting yelled at. I don't like bringing up my feelings if I feel like it's going to get me in trouble. Like, you know what I mean? But I come to conclusion all that stems from something. You know what I mean? It
Mm,
stems from somewhere. So,
yeah.
yeah, that's a little bit of my childhood. But who I am now, I'm funny, I feel like. I'm really
Mhm,
resilient,
mhm,
humble, I would say.
mhm,
Very loyal, I would describe myself as. I mean, I go hard for everything I want, people around me, the things that I want in my life.
mhm,
I mean, we was kind of talking the other day, right? Like, I don't have a good example, honestly, of like what love should be, right? Like how people should treat people or whatever the case is. I just know what I don't want to be or who I don't want to be. Like, so
mhm.
I just strive to be something different. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, especially with my job. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I work with kids and I'm like, dang, I was just telling my friend, I'm like, I try to work as like a mentor, almost like the one I wanted as a kid. You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
just someone to listen to, like connect to, like just
mhm,
feel like support, like non-judgmental, like a safe space, a safe zone. So like I go hard in my job. Like, like no matter what I do in life, I just feel like I need to put like 100% in. But
yeah.
even that, I struggle with that. Like I'm literally still struggling with that, right? Like that confidence piece. But I'm like working on it, like, you know what I mean? But like even this, like I was like, okay, like what am I gonna talk about on the podcast? Like I haven't overcame anything. And then when you really sit down and then you really reflect, I'm like, oh shoot, like I slept at a car on a point. Like I slept in my car at a point. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm,
oh, okay, like I got kicked out at a point. Oh, okay. I got separated from my brother and my mom at a point. Oh, okay. Like, you know what I mean? But even all that, I'm like, like I didn't go through nothing. Like I didn't go through nothing. I haven't faced anything. I haven't overcame anything. But I'm like, I feel ungrateful, at the same
mm,
time, because I'm like, I actually have. Like, nobody forced me to do the things that I do in life. Like nobody forced
yeah.
me to act the way that I act. I chose to go to school because I wanted to. Like, I didn't see past 18. Like I used to literally like cut myself, like be mad depressed, just sad, crying, feeling mad lonely. Like, you know what I mean? But now I'm like in a different spot. Like I'm trying to be the person that I wanted in my life. Like I'm in therapy, I have a job. I just signed up to go back to school. Like I have a bachelor's degree. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Girl, you started off deep. All right. All right. I appreciate it. But I
Thank
think a
you.
lot of what you said is, first of all, it highlights, I think, a population that we don't talk about enough, which are the ones who unfortunately are removed or displaced from home, I guess is a technical term. And, I love working with young people. Obviously, you're one of the young people that I was fortunate enough, and I definitely count it an honor and a privilege to have worked with you. And it's hard when you're removed from your home, and then it's like, okay, now you're gonna have you're gonna be around people who are gonna tell you what to do, tell you when you can go to bed, bring you to appointments, bring you to school, pick you up from school, all these other things. And then there's that grieving process that people don't talk about. Like, pull me from my mama
Mm,
and don't think I'm going to act okay, right? But I think
yeah.
there's a stigma attached to young people who are removed from home, right? Like you guys are viewed as the bad kids and thrown out by society and all this other stuff. And it's like, or these are young people who face a misfortunate moment. And because of that, they were removed from home and are left trying to figure it out. And you talked about cutting, you talked
Yeah.
about, being depressed, but then trying not to complain, even though, girl, that is a lot for 14-year-olds. That's not, oh, I just scraped my knee. Like, this is, I don't know these people. How do I trust these people? I've lived 14 years over
Right.
here, and now, there's something big that has happened, and I am forced to deal with it. So, like, how did you make it, really? Like, how did you navigate being away from home for however long you were out of the home. Like, what was that journey like for you?
Um, Honestly, at first I feel like it was definitely a struggle, right? Like we said, like the just the transition, like I'm a routine type of person. Like I'm used to something like one way and then getting excuse me, getting a different way, learning how to live with different people.
Hmm.
I was quiet at first, so I think that was like a big thing. But finding someone that you connect to, you know what I mean? Like for example, with the shelter. I I was happy there for some reason. It was so weird, like you know what I mean. And for once, it was like maybe I was happy because I felt seen in a way, like the way that me
Hmm.
and you connected, the way that the conversations just flowed, the way that you checked on me, like you know what I mean. Like and there was
Hmm.
other staffs as well, like you know what I mean. Like I had ideas, like I started volunteering at the Boys and Girls Club, right, with a girls group, right. Like
Hmm.
the other girls that were in the shelter, like they would come talk to me, confide in me, and that made me feel good, you know. I wanted to start a book club over there. I had all these ideas and just like this aspiration for some reason. Like I wasn't even thinking about like, oh my God, like I'm sad because like I'm home. Like I was still sad at the end of the night
Hmm.
when the day ends and you're by yourself laying down. But just seeing that I could be like it was just like wow, like this is me. Like I have these ideas. Like I'm this
Hmm.
person. Like you know, like that was like a shock for myself. But then it was like weird because when I went into a foster home, it was like it felt like starting over all over again. You know, it's like okay, it's an apartment now. Like I have like a bed over here, like whatever the case is, but it's a different family dynamic. You know what I mean? Like different cultures, different background, the way they were raised. Like they actually cared about grades, and I wasn't like used to that. I'm like, whoa, like you want to see my report card? Like
Hmm.
that's mad weird. Like you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
you're in my business. Like you're like that's I don't know. Like that was just like caught me off guard, but to have somebody like care about your grades, you know what I mean? Like care about your performance, like how you're
Hmm.
doing. And it wasn't even like, oh my God, you're getting bad grades. It was like, is there something in the way? Like, is there a way that we could help you? Like, is there like, you know what I mean? Like and that I never had that. I'm like, my mom didn't do that. Like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm like, why are
Yeah.
you like asking about that? Like, why are you like asking about my grades? Like, so that was like a big thing. Even like the eating situation, girl, when I tell you I've starved myself, like because I was just like shy to like go eat and like grab food. I just
Hmm.
didn't like understand. Like they would have like dinner together sometime, like especially on Sundays. It was like a big dinner, and I'm like, you guys like eat dinner together? So it's like I would always like stay in my room, just be weird to like ask for things. Like would only go out to like shower, like you know, like use the bathroom, go to school. Wouldn't try to
Hmm.
like make conversation. So I think in a way I made it hard on myself, like and they were trying to get to know me, but I didn't understand that. They were trying to understand like who I was and like how I wanted to go about things. You know, like when it came to the eating thing, like I was just like, what the hell? Like they're trying to starve me or something. Like they don't care if I ate, but she thought like, oh, let me give her space and she can come up and like get the food. But like I
Hmm.
didn't like that. I'm like, oh no, like my mom usually like puts the food and then like say it's ready. Like I don't know, like you know, and like I just don't like touching other people's pots. So like right, like that had to be a conversation. Like a lot of things ended up being a conversation. Like we're gonna talk about things and you
Hmm.
know, so I wasn't comfortable with that. It was something different. But there was a point, and this is something I struggle with, and I we might have talked about it. I don't know, but I feel like so much things happened before, or like what people have done to me or said to me that like still sticks in my head, but I can't determine like if it's real or not. You know, like I said, like there was a point where like my foster dad was like, you know, like I don't get paid enough for you or something like that, right? And like that's something like that, like I can still hear, but then like he said he never said it, so then it's like I'm just like questioning myself, like if it really happened or not. But
Hmm.
honestly, I'm just like, God, you know, like I know like that, but you know, not everybody like has faith and everything like that, but like God, seriously, like just the way that I don't know how to explain it. Like I really wasn't praying, if I'm being honest. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like I wasn't praying, but for some reason I was still covered. Like, and that's something I pray about all the time. Like, if my lips don't move, just hear my heart. You know what I mean? Like, hear my heart. Like, my intentions are pure. Like, I
Hmm.
promise that. You know what I mean? So that's something I still pray about. Like, I pray now. I'm like, I'm trying to read my Bible. Like, I'm going to church. I'm doing Bible study, but staying faithful to who you are, like having a belief in something, and not being prideful. Like, I know
Mm-hmm.
that seems so simple, but pride really will kill. Like, not asking for help, not accepting help, not even
Mm-hmm.
feeling deserving of help. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't feel that. Like you would try to help me, right? And I'm just like, like I told you, I'm like, I came to a point where I'm like, dang, like all the bad kids get attention. Like, like I want to be bad, but it was like, I'm glad I didn't. Like, I'm glad I never tried to be somebody that I wasn't. You know what I mean? But like
Mm-hmm.
when you're feeling hurt and unheard, you can act out in ways that aren't you. You can lose your identity. You know what I'm saying? So how did I like overcome everything? Yeah. Like I really had to talk to people. I really had to get that support from people. I really had to reflect, journal, like I said, stay true to myself. Like it's really easy to lose yourself, especially in situations like that. But once I had just one helping hand, I feel like it changed a lot for me. Like I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, like somebody cares, and that was just enough to keep me going.
Yeah. There's so much to what you're saying, and it's like I like to do the little replays back, like first of all being taken from home, and then having to be in a place that was awkwardly, like you were saying, like I actually feel comfortable here. And maybe it's because it was a culture shock, right? And it's like, oh, okay, so people are kind of nice. People actually care about my well-being, or some random stuff about like hair and clothes and grades and all this other stuff. So a good culture shock, but then you go into another place and you're just like, oh, okay, no, people really live differently than what I'm used to. And then it's like, how do you adjust
Yeah.
in those moments? And there's so many people that don't understand what that adjustment looks like. There's so many people who are either stuck in their situation where trauma happens to them every day, abuse happens to them every day, and they're just like, okay, well, I'm stuck. Or you have other people that are similar to your story where it's like they were able to get out, but then there's this whole other like identity crisis almost of like, so now who am I? I understood me there. It made sense there. I was okay there, even though it was
Right.
dysfunctional and violent and frustrating. But I'm familiar with that. This, mm, I don't know what this is, and this is why the trying to figure it out thing is so important, because as a person who has to deal with mental health and has to deal with the life and transitioning from teenagehood to adulthood, and you're just like, yo, what? I don't know. Because my foundation has been shook, or shooketh, as we like to say. And it's like, then what? And then where does my life go from here?
Right.
And you mentioned, having mentors, and you mentioned having people that actually cared, that was able to look at you and be like, listen, Deja, I know this situation sucked, but I'm here. And I want to show up for you. Excuse me, and I want to be present. And I want to ask you about, like, you mentioned pride, and that's huge. That is big, right? A lot of people don't get the help because they don't ask, and because it's like, girl, I'm good, and it's like, hold on. If you're not good, it's okay. It's okay to not be okay, as they're learning to say now, right? There's a lot of people who are like,
Yeah.
I don't got it. Whether it's money, whether it's energy, whether it's time, whether it's mental capacity, they don't have it. But it takes a humble self, or maybe even a desperate self, to be like, actually, I need help. So what was, or
Yeah.
what were those moments where you're just like, okay, Deja, like, for real, we're not okay, and we might need more help than I want to admit or I want to ask for.
I love this question, honestly, because I'm gonna give you like my truthful answer. There was a few times for me, right? When it came to school,
Mhm.
I was scared to ask for help in different ways, but it was like I was struggling because I'm like, I think academic wise, I was doing great. I started off great my first 2 years, but then it was like, okay, I had three jobs. I
Mhm.
ended up getting kicked out at a point. I had no choice but like to reach out to somebody. Like I'm trying to get resources. That's another thing. Like it's not even that some people won't ask. It's just like people don't even know that it's there. Like, that's
Mhm.
like a big thing. Um but I had connections because I was like in this program called like School on Wheels. So again, like from mentors and just like connections and things like that. I kind of just, hit up the, I don't even know who it was at the time, like vice president or whatever. But I was just like, hey, do you guys offer like therapy? Like, do you guys have like therapists or something? And they was like, hey, like we don't have therapists, but we have mentors. I'm
Mm,
like, whatever. Like, I want that.
something.
Whatever
Yeah.
that is. Like,
Yeah.
whatever, however they can help. Yes, I want it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So there was that situation where I had to like ask, and we are still close. Like again, like helped me like tremendously with so much things. Like other than school, you know what I mean? Like life things, being more organized, like just small things. Um, Again, I had to get, well, when I got kicked out, I talked to my pastor. We're trying to like figure things out. He was like, email this person from school or call this person. And I did that. You know me, I don't like asking for things, but I'm like, this is the situation. I heard you guys do like emergency housing, like, et cetera, et cetera. They ended up giving that to me. So that's like another situation. Different situations where, oh my God, I can give you something even more recently. Oh, Jesus. Oh Jesus, I was struggling so bad with my mental health, like so bad. I mean, like I'm literally like, no, like what is the point of this? Like having so much suicide ideation, you know what I mean? Like just what am I here for? Like what is my purpose? Like I feel like I'm working so hard for nothing. There's nothing to show for it. I'm in the same place. Like I'm still feeling the same way that I was when I was 13, like even before then. Like you know what I mean? Just being so negative, like talking so down on myself, and I was just having so much breakdowns. Like one day it was like I got out of work. Like I have two jobs. So it's like I do an overnight, get out of that job, start another job, kind of just keep rotating, right?
Mhm.
Well, girl, I got out of work one day and just was driving and just started crying as I was trying. Like crying like someone died though. Like I'm on the phone with my best friend and she just had no words. And when I tell you she always has words for me, like she
Yeah.
can give advice. Like she's older than me. I love my older people. She's older, can always say something, but I was crying so much like she didn't know what to say. She
Mm,
didn't know how to help me. She was like, I
mhm.
think you need to call your pastor because I was like, I'm tired. But we've had the conversations of like, yeah, I've wanted to kill myself before. Like, you know what I'm saying? Those conversations. So she's like,
Mhm.
what type of tired are you? Like, you're
Mhm.
scaring me right now. And I'm like, I'm tired. Like I get people always say to me, like, you have bags under your eyes. Oh, I get it. Oh, I get it. Cause I'm on the go. I can't sleep. Like I really like feel guilty when I sleep. But I'm like,
Mhm.
it's the mentally tired, like just drained. Like, you know what I mean? Like no matter how many people give me that like reassurance of like you're
Mhm.
enough or like you're
Mhm.
good, like you're doing whatever you need to do. I'm like, but I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
like beating myself up like when the day really ends, like I'm not okay. So when it came to that point when she had nothing to say and I had nothing for myself to say and I couldn't stop crying, it was like I'm talking about days on end. You know what I mean? Like one day I cried, one day I took a day off from work, another day I cried, took a few more, like it was constant, like
Mhm.
constant. And I'm like, I'm scared because the thoughts were getting so deep. I'd be driving, I'm like I'll drive off the road right now, right? Like someone's like coming too close to me and I'm like, okay, like what if they do this? Like just so negative. Like I feel like death
Mhm.
kept just popping up in my head and I'm like, this is just scaring me. Like I even came to like, have like create a safety plan with my therapist. You know what I mean? Like so at that point it's like you have to be real with yourself when you're not okay. Like I'm talking about like I opened up to my brother and that's something that was hard for me, you know what I mean? But I'm
Mhm.
like, I just want to let you know, like this is how I'm feeling right now. Like,
Yeah.
and that was something so big for me because like I'm literally still working on that in therapy, but I'm like, I need support. I need support. I can't do it by myself. I just can't.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I mean? And like
Mhm.
the more that people try to suppress their feelings, and I know society is like, don't show your feelings and don't show your emotions, but I genuinely think that like who would I be if I don't if I'm not like this really, like who would I be if I don't show love the way that I do, if I don't
Mhm.
feel the way that I do, if I don't,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, work the way that I do. Like I am who I am uniquely, I'm gonna say, because I come different. I love different, you know what I mean? And like I don't want to just love people the way that I want to love them. Like, I genuinely want to learn people, to learn their
Yeah.
love language, to be their support. Like, it really takes nothing to be kind. You don't know who's having a bad day. So when people notice something little about me, like, wow, like I noticed like you missed work today, or like, hey, like you haven't slept or something. Like, it's something so small that I'm like, dang, like I matter. You know what I mean? Like, you notice me, like I care. But again, like I feel like I'm circling, but you just have to know, like, when something feels too overwhelming for me, like my thoughts were getting too much is basically what I'm saying. Like,
Mm,
like I felt like someone could hear me out loud, and I'm like, yeah, I need help. Like,
yeah.
serious help. Like, I don't, I'm not saying I need to check in anywhere, but it's like you said, it's okay to not be okay. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, people look at me and be like, oh, wow, she got it because she works so hard. But it's like, you have to check on the quiet people. You have to check on the people who work so hard. You just have to ask people, are you okay? I like to ask people if they're okay twice. Are you okay? Because, everyone's going to be like, yeah, I'm good. Like, okay, but like, are you mentally okay? Like, you know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? Like, it's the smallest thing that really like can have somebody just make a better day, like, but
Yeah.
again, you just, and again, it can come to feeling safe too. Like, not everybody feels safe to just have, that conversation of like, hey, I'm not feeling okay. So it's like, that's tough in itself. But
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, no, yeah, I love that
And
comment. I think a lot of people pretend. That's the problem. I can't pretend no
indeed,
more.
indeed. And I love that, right?
Yeah.
There's there are many times where we all have those breaking points, right? We all have those moments where it's like, this is too much. I can't do this anymore. I'm about to break, right? And when we have those moments, it's like, who do we have in our back pocket, so to speak, that I can be like, I can call this person and I know they'll give me some encouragement and I know that they'll point me in the right direction, right? And for some people, and this happens way more frequent than I think people are willing to admit. We like to mask everything. Like, I think every episode has said, I put on this mask because I have to show up, I have to be there, I have to be willing to answer questions and be this bubbly, loving person. And they're just like, but when I get home, mm-mm, I am ready to cry. I'm ready to break
Yeah.
down. I don't, if I got kids,
Oh
I'm turning
yeah.
on the shower and just crying in the bathroom. Am I in the shower? No, but I need to release something, right? And this is why I tell people that therapy isn't just something that you do when you get to that point. Therapy is something that we need to prevent that from happening. You know what I mean? Like, how do I engage in services that teach me how to not break down, who teach me how to do self check-ins and self-evaluations and check the people that I'm connected to, because maybe it's not me. Maybe I'm just all out of wax because I got too many people depending on me and I got too many people to show up for, and I don't even know how to show up for myself, right? And when you get to those points, you
Yeah.
have to be honest and say, if people don't, if I don't feel comfortable, in I have a client and I used to say this to her. I was like, sis, if you don't trust the people around you with the vulnerable side of you, why are they there? Like, you have people
Mm.
so close to you, but you don't trust you with them. And it took having conversations. Yeah. It took having conversations, and
Mm.
she would always say something like, well, everybody ain't supposed to have access to you. I was like, I agree, but you ain't got one. You don't have that one person where you can just be like, "Bleh, here's my stuff," and they'd be like, okay, we'll clean it up later. Cry if you need to cry, and support and be there. And
Yeah.
it is hard to show vulnerability and to show weakness and to show I'm not okay, but it's absolutely okay because it's why people are there, right? Like, people have hearts like you do to say, like, girl, you ain't gotta clean it up, you ain't gotta dress it
Do
up.
all
I
that.
want to make sure you're okay. Huh?
Yeah. No, I'm like, no, like just saying, like, yeah, you don't have to keep it all in.
Mm-mm. It's not healthy because then you become like emotionally constipated, right? Like you got this like I need to get it out and I feel something and I need to release it, but then you're just like, but I can't though. So I'll just hold on to it. But everything when it reaches its capacity is bound to blow.
I think for me, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I feel like I'm an open book. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can really ask me anything and I'm here. Like, I love deep conversations. I love intellectual conversations. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I feel like I wear my heart on my sleeve. So I think I struggle with like, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying I let everybody in, but I'm just like who I am in the beginning is just like who I am. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm just like, I try to be as open and like honest as a person so other people feel that comfort to
Mm-hmm.
confide in me.
Yeah.
Um, and then I feel more comfortable when people confide in me. Like, if you're opening up to me, I'm like, okay, shoot, like I can open up to you. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, like we got this, like we're here for each other, reciprocation. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like a lot of people are, again, like you're saying, masking, right? Like very surface, basic level. Yep, I'm good. Okay, like you know what I mean? Like everybody is there for a conversation when you want to have fun, but it's like who's really
Mm-hmm.
there when
Yeah.
you need someone to talk to? Like
Yeah.
I always be questioning myself, and this is something I struggle with, and I'm like, listen, if if I lost it all today, right? Like who's still gonna love on me? You know what I mean? Like if am I still worthy if I don't have the two jobs? Am I still
Mm-hmm.
worthy if I can't like provide for you the way that I do? Am I still worthy if I can't show up for you? Like so I feel guilty to say no to people. Like that's something I'm still like working on. You know what I mean? But just coming to terms of like you are still worthy and like everyone is literally battling with some type of like mental health problems, like and no offense,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like what I mean is like with their own emotions, you know what I
Sure.
mean? Like a lot of people don't have techniques, a lot of people don't have the support. Some people have the support and like we said, like that pride comes in. um and another thing I struggled with was like just feeling like a burden, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I know I can hit you up anytime and just be like, hey, like I need to talk real quick, right? But like just going on and being like, okay, like she's got a lot going on, like she's working, it's whatever, like you know what I mean? Like sometimes I even do things like that, but then it's like
Mm-hmm.
we talk and it's like that reassurance of like I'm still here for you, like I still love you, like I'm still cheering you on, you know what I mean? Like so that's like so important, like like you show the same love, the same vibes. But again, just going back to mentors, I mean I have a lot of them in my life and it's like I don't know who I would be without their guidance. Like, and that's just like the honest truth. Like to have people believe in you is something different. I don't know. Like to just have somebody see you, especially
Mm-hmm.
like sometimes I feel like I can't see myself. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't want people to be like, okay, like if I overcome, I'm supposed to feel perfect. My friend today, she was like, what would your life look like if you overcame everything? Like what would you want it to look like? And honestly, I didn't have an answer. You know what I mean? Like if you really sit here and be like, okay, like what would your happiness look like? It's like I actually don't know. Like I'm still figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. Like, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But I think people beat themselves up in the process, and I am people, me. Like, but again, like it's learning. You have to learn through everything you go through, right? Like whether it be good, whether it be bad, whether you think it's silly, it doesn't matter who it's from. Like there's always a lesson in whatever you're doing
Mm-hmm.
in life. There's like a purpose to everything. So I just try to live with intent. Like I do things intentionally, like purposely. You know what I mean? But yeah, rock on for mentors. Like,
Not rock on. You again, girl, you be saying some deep stuff and we're not gonna brush over it. We like to circle back. I think the most powerful thing about mentorship it does exactly what you said. It's when I don't know and when my blinders are on and maybe I'm just blind. Forget blinders. Maybe my eyes are just off, right? We have people to be like, girl, I can walk with you. I can talk with you. I see you. I think we underestimate the power of showing up. And I've been saying this, anyone who has heard me talk before, I'm like, sometimes when people are in a dark, hard moment, It's not always about what you say. Most of the time, it's the fact that you showed up and you were like, even at your weak point, you still matter to me. Even at this moment where you're lost and you're hurting, or maybe you even cussing me out. Because listen, working with kids, I then
You gonna
got
get
cussed
cussed
out,
out.
but most of the time, it wasn't they're cussing me out. They're cussing at something, and I'm just the person that's there, right? And
Yeah.
even after all of that, they're just like, oh, Harrison's still here. Okay, that's cool. I don't know why she is, but all right, cool. You know, and it's like that means so much to people. And I try to overemphasize that. Like, just show up and show them
Yeah.
that, like you said, whether they got $15 million or 15 cents, they still matter. Whether they can drive you to the store and do this for you and buy your baby some clothes, or they just merely exist and they're in your corner, rooting you on, sharing your posts, liking things, and whatever it is that you're doing, they're rooting for you. That matters. And so
Yeah.
I like what you said at the beginning, where you're like, I'm showing up in the ways that I wish somebody showed up for me, or I'm showing up as a person that I needed back then. And same here, right? Like when I
Yeah.
was growing up, obviously there was adults around and we love them. You know, I was raised by a village, but there's always that moment where you're just like, I wish I had da, 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 da. And I was like, well, if I didn't have it, I'm gonna make sure that whoever's attached to me has what I missed.
Yeah.
So if it's a listening ear,
Yeah.
if it's a shoulder to cry on, a moment to laugh and distract me from my problems or to work through the problems, like I want to make sure that I'm showing up for people like that, because I want to break this cycle of I'm a mask it and I'm gonna hold it and I'm gonna be broken, and we're carrying these things from generation to generation, from relationship to relationship, friendship to friendship, whatever ship you want to call it. And it's like that part is what we need to snap and break, because we lose people in this moment. So along with what we're saying, along with the theme of this conversation is, I'm still trying to figure it out. So now that we got through all of the childhood that was Deja, and early adulthood or earlier adulthood, because you're still a baby in my eyes.
Oh. Back hurting and stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm old.
Girl, but if you're old, then child, I'm old and I ain't old, so um, trying to figure it out. Like, do you have a vision for your life? And if so, what does that vision look like? And what do you need to get yourself from where you are to completing the vision?
I'm gonna say yes, I have a vision. Sometimes I'm like, oh no, I dream too big. But let me tell you guys, there's no dream that's too big. Go for it. But
Amen.
all seriousness, I don't know if I want to say this, but I'll say it because I feel like this is a good spirit. It's a good spirit right now. As you know, I've applied for school to get my PsyD in clinical psych. So I'm just hoping the interview's this Saturday. So I'm just hoping like I get in, and in the future I'll be like Dr. Lopes. But really I can imagine myself doing a lot of things. I think my goal is like as long as I can help or change like one person's life, like I think I'll be all right. Like, I want to feel like I'm doing something. But I'm like I want to travel the world and like go to like poor countries and, help out over there. Like their mental health matters too, like and they may not have all the resources. But I definitely like have a passion of working with adolescents. I always have. I think you know that. So I can imagine like my own nonprofit. I already have like a name for it, but I'm not gonna say it.
Write that down and give it
But
to
like I
God.
really just wanna. Yes, exactly. But I really just working with the adolescents, the minorities, trying to target. Really, I'm just trying to give everything that I thought I needed. Right, like I simple things I'm talking about, like hygiene classes. Not saying that was bad, but like I work with kids who don't know a lot about hygiene when,
Yeah.
like they're like 14, 15, and I'm like, "Oh wow." But that like ties into a lot of things. It could tie into depression. You get what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like
Hmm.
it's more than just like, "Oh wow, like you stink." No, it's either like they're depressed, they don't really know about like hygiene, they were never taught hygiene, right?
Hmm.
Sexual education. I'm like, a lot of people are young and pregnant. That's fine. We're not judging. But it's like,
Yeah.
did you know about like condoms? Did you know about birth control? When it comes to grocery shopping, I know that sounds crazy, but it's like couponing saves a lot. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
the it's expensive. Like it's so expensive. Like you can do couponing, right? Like it's just even tax classes, girl. Like I struggled with taxes for so long. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
just simple things, how to write a check, how to write a resume, interview questions, you know what I mean? But I also want the counseling aspect of it, right? Like of course there's like these skills and things like that, but again, we need to check on people's mental health because that ties into a lot. So I really just see myself doing a lot. Like I know it's working with kids. I know it's traveling. I know I want to write a book. You know what I mean? Like I want to do a lot of things. Like I'm always trying to get a certificate. I'm always trying to learn something new. I'm always trying to learn from somebody. I'm not like I don't speak a lot, but I also speak a lot. It's like weird. It's like I always have a million questions, and when I'm comfortable with you, boop, boop, boop. I got a question. I got a question. How do I do this? How can I do this? Teach me that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm really one of those people. So I'm just like, yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know. Like, I do have a vision, but what I need to get there, honestly, God is my number one thing.
Hmm.
Prayer,
Hmm.
discipline,
Hmm.
the continuing support of all my mentors. And I'm not just talking about like, oh, wow, like she has the label of mentor. Like, I consider you a mentor, right? Like, I have another mentor. Like, some of my older friends are my mentors. Like, you know what I mean? Like, anybody that gives me wisdom, like, even younger people, like, people need to not be ignorant. That's another thing. Like, you have to be
Hmm.
open minded. You have
Yeah.
to want the help, right? Like you have to want that for yourself. Like nobody can help you more than you want to help yourself. But it's okay to ask. It's okay to not be okay, and it's
Yep.
okay to like accept. Like you can accept that support. And I have a problem of like pushing people away when they try to help me, or I'll self sabotage where I feel like things are actually going good, and I'm like, you know what? It's not even that they're going good. If things are going too bad, let me say, I'll be like, you know what? I don't need my friends. I don't need this job. I'll quit on spot and forget the therapist. Like, I get in my head real quick. But it's like when you actually have people that, again, can kind of turn it back around, like, hey, you off your track right now. Remember, you got this goal. You got to get back. Like, you know what I'm saying? Praying. And this is another thing. This is so big. I literally shared this the other day on social media, but I'm like, wow, this is so true. It said, I'm living in all of my answered prayers right now. And I'm like, that is so true. Like 2025, everything I prayed for, I got. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
I wanted to pay off my credit card, all my student loans, my car, my debt. I did that. You know what I mean? I wanted to start kickboxing. I did that. I wanted to apply for school. I did that. I wanted to start therapy. I did that. Like I wanted a new career. I did that. Like, you know what I mean? Like everything I put on my vision board, I've done. Like, so I'm just like, okay, prayer is a big thing for me. I'm still trying to learn how to be like a little bit more organized. Like I think I'm organized, but I also think I put a lot on my plate because going back to like, am I doing enough? Is this enough? Like, right, trying to beat generational curses, right? Like just certain things, certain standards that nobody's putting on me, but I'm putting on myself. So
Hmm.
believing in the process is important, right? Like
Yeah.
counting those baby steps, clapping
Yeah.
for yourself.
Hmm.
Um, and not seeking validation, right? Like I love reassurance, but I don't seek validation from nobody. Because the biggest thing that I hate is if I'm talking about something and then someone kind of downplays my idea. That's another thing people need to be careful on. Not everybody can see your vision. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody understands your process because it's
Hmm.
your story. So,
Yeah.
yes.
Come on, preacher. All right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Listen,
Oh
there's
gosh. Y'all don't want me preaching.
I feel like you just were, Miss Ma'am. You got to speak it. You talked about vision. The Bible talks about write down the vision, make it plain so that someone can take it and run with it. You know what I'm saying? So you did that. You talked about prayer and how prayer is the answer. For the effectual, fervent prayer of the righteous availeth much. Like, come on. You were preaching. You may not have thrown a scripture in there,
Okay.
but you were preaching.
But I was preaching.
Yeah. Girl, what you think preaching is? It's taking an inspiration
Oh
from what the
God.
Lord is given. You're applying like real life application, and then it takes off, right? So there's a piece of your story that a lot of people don't want to be honest about, right? So as y'all know, we churchy over here, right? If you don't know it now, you know. And something about the testimony service is a lot of people testify about where they started and where they ended. Never what the process looked like, right? On social media, they're like, oh yeah, this is where I started, and now look at me. But they don't talk about the hours that they put in to work out, the hours that they put in that they had to cry, the hours of hard work, the hours of failing, and how many times they failed. Like, I remember watching this thing about Walt Disney and how many no's he got, like 260 something no's before he got his first yes. There are people who are giving up after like their first 5. I probably would have been one of them. I'm like, all right, so clearly this ain't supposed to be a thing because 5 people said no. But that like you were saying,
but
that
you know what they
discipline.
say. I was about to say, because you know what they say. Your faith got to be bigger than your worries.
See? Preaching. Yeah? Call it what you want, baby girl, but you preaching. But seriously, like, people need to know what the process looks like, right? So perfect example, I went from working like 3.5 jobs, it felt like, and doing all this leadership stuff and doing a lot of things and running a business. And I believe, like, my friend used to ask me all the time, like, so when are you gonna like stop playing with your business and be like, instead of your business being the side hustle, when will that become your main job? And then everything else can be a side hustle or whatever. I was like, child, listen, here's what Jermaine knows: to pay some bills and to talk to people. Anything outside of that, I don't know what you want me to do, right? I'm introverted, so networking and going out there and doing all the things, it's like, not me. But taking this leap of faith, right? And being like, all right, God, so clearly this is what you want, right? You clearly want me to come out of the office, to come out of the shadows and do what I got to do, right? And, you see people that are like doing the thing and making the money, and they're all over social medias and all over community posts and stuff like that. And it's like, that's nice. Now, they don't tell you how many times you're going to be broke and how many times you're putting out more money than you're getting in. And then you're like, no, this isn't it. But mentorship, I've had mentors that have stepped in and be like, girl, I was broke probably the first few months of my being self-employed and being an entrepreneur, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And if I didn't have examples like that, I would have been like, nah, God, you didn't call me. I'm gonna go back over there because somebody want to hire me. You took too long. I'm gonna go over here. But the process and trying to figure it out, a lot of people lose it in the process. A lot of people lose it in the transitional periods. A lot of people lose it in the hallways of their life when they left a room and they're waiting for another room door to open. That's when people lose it, right? And so having mentorship and guidance and people to root for you and to keep you pushing, because I'll tell you, I don't know what it feels like to be like Moses when he was trying to lead the people to victory, but I know what it's like for my arms to get heavy. I know what it's like to get real like, this ghetto over here, And as mentee, I appreciate my mentors. And also as a mentor, I appreciate my mentees. Like, I have a slew of y'all, and I thank God for y'all. I really do. Because you guys bring life to me more than you know. More than you know. Right? And it's when I get to see the success, and I'm just like, Lord, y'all, you let me be a part of that. Whether it was I was just a part of the beginning, the middle, the end, whatever. It's just like you trusted me enough with somebody else's like life or something. I'm not their mama, but you trusted me with it. And I don't take that for granted.
Yeah,
Mentorship is beautiful, it is necessary, and it's how we get through these I don't know seasons, right? So we're nearing the
absolutely.
end, and every time we get closer to the end, I ask these two questions. This is the Inimitable podcast. Inimitable, for those of you who don't know, it is something that is so unique, it is impossible to duplicate. These are the black sheeps, the neurospicy individuals, the misunderstoods, all of us. Hey y'all, this is your safe space. How you doing? Um, what was that like for you? Maybe being misunderstood, maybe people thinking they know you, but then they're like, you know what I want you to know. You don't really know what's going on in here. And what's your advice for people who are trying to figure it out, trying to make it through, and they don't know what to do?
Um, Being misunderstood is hard, right?
Mhm.
But again, giving people grace, because not everybody is you. Not everybody has went through things the way that you have, and
Yeah.
even if they have, it's still not the same. It might not be the same feelings. Everybody has like a different perception on things. But my advice, really, again, like my biggest thing is God. But the second thing, like, you have to stand on something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
you have to kind of know who you are. Like, of course everybody has those seasons where they're still trying to figure it out, right? Like, who am I? What am I supposed to be doing? Like, what's my purpose? But like, you have to have like some type of like morals, right? Like some type of principles, something like you're standing on, right? Like, I am who I am because of certain things that I stand on certain things, that the way I move, the way I move, or the way I love, the way I love, right? But you have to know who you are, like at heart.
Mhm.
Like, you
Mhm.
can't lose yourself in the midst of anything. And even when you lose yourself, put that trust in God. Like, like that's just important. I mean, I don't know. Like, don't let anything define you. Like, it's like, yeah, like I told you earlier, I'm like, I could choose to wake up mad every day. Okay.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
yeah, there's still a lot I don't have. Maybe life isn't the way that I had pictured it, or wait, wanted it. How do I say it? Like, it's not going the way I pictured, or I would say I want it. But that's okay, because my prayers are different now. You know what I'm saying? I'm not praying for what I want. I'm praying for what God wants. So it's like,
Mhm.
yes, know what you want and know who you are. But like, again, like we said, trust that process. Like, you can't want the good and not have or expect the bad to come, right? Like, that's just not how life goes. Everybody has free will. Not everybody's going to treat you the way that you want to be treated, but again, don't lose who you are, you know,
Mhm.
um treat people with respect, write things down. Find someone that supports you, like that you can confide in. It doesn't, and I'm not saying everybody has to go to church, whether that be church, whether that be someone from your school, whether that be a professor, whether that be a family member. I want everybody to have a safe place. Everybody should feel safe somewhere. Like, everybody
Mhm.
should have something where it's like, okay, I know if I come to you, you're about to wrap me in full circle. You know what I'm saying? I can trust you, right? Like, I think everybody needs to find that. And just trusting themselves as well, like having that confidence. I mean, that sounds so small, but like, confidence played a big factor in a lot of things for me. Like, from my childhood to like my adulthood, to not being confrontational, to not wanting to speak up about my feelings. Like, advocate for yourself, know who you are, have that support, find a mentorship,
Mhm.
do therapy, something. You know what I mean? Like, there's just no way you have to be stuck where you are. Like, and every day you wake up is a progress to where you was. You know what I mean? Like, you're
Mhm.
not the same person that you was yesterday. Like, I believe you're always growing, you're always evolving. Like, you have to hold on to something, you have to look forward to something. Like, you might not see the light at the end of the tunnel right now, but like, if you know what you're standing for, and like, you know what you're chasing for,
Mhm.
you will be all set, you guys.
Period. Okay, now listen. I told her before we hopped on that I may or may not have an announcement that may shock the world. Wait, it's not really going to shock the world. So, um, You don't know this, Deja,
Wait, are
but
you telling them?
I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, so there's
Mm.
you again, you don't know this, but a lot of the things that you stand on, I also stand on. And we have conversations, of course, but the fact that we are like-minded in a way where it comes to here's our goal, here's a vision, here's a plan that God dropped in me to be able to share.
Yeah.
That's huge, right? And so, ladies and gentlemen, when a fighting chance begins to elevate, a lot of people need partnerships, right? And I have always tried to make sure that if I'm going to connect myself to somebody, especially when it comes to business, when it comes to ministry, first of all, I want to make sure that they are called, they are touched by the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Not just, oh yeah, I believe in him. Like, nah, I need to make sure that y'all are on the first name basis. As a matter of fact, I need the enemy to know your name, because if you ain't a threat to his kingdom, what are we doing? So a part of building, a fighting chance is finding partners. And so my mentee, Miss Daysja, is going to be a active partner of a fighting chance when it elevates. And if, a fighting chance becomes a nonprofit, you need a president
I'm so excited.
and you need a vice president. And my vice president would be Miss Daysja Lopes. So look
I'm
out
so excited. Like, this
for,
makes me like all cheesy.
as you should be, look out for a fighting chance, and the mentorship part, because as you see, this is my mentee, love her to pieces, and I've seen the elevation, I've seen the growth, I've seen the transformation that God was doing in her life. And I'm watching from the sidelines, just like, wow, God, you did that. And I'm just excited to see it. And so what Daysja and I are going to be working on is really taking the beauty of mentorship and the structure of mentorship, and we're bringing it to the community, whether that be in high schools or churches or community centers. You're going to be seeing us now, whether that's in Brockton alone, where I'm at, who knows, but look out for us. You'll be seeing flyers. We're going to be setting up some things in the near future, but in the meantime, in between time, Daysja, you did amazing. Thank you so much for coming and being honest and being vulnerable, being transparent. I appreciate you. I really do. I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate you trusting me and trusting my podcast to be a platform where you can share and really spread the good news. Spread the good news that Jesus saves and he matters, and so does mental health. And so, ladies and gentlemen, next week will be a part 2. I will be having on another mentee of mine. I just had to text her to make sure her mama gave the green light to put her on. I've practically known this girl from the womb. And I've been able to see her elevate and, seeing what God is doing in her life. Kamara will be on next week. Again, she's another mentee of mine. And, because these conversations need to happen. We need to hear the youth voice, right? So Daysja was one. Oh, Kamara's younger. She just turned 16, I believe. And so we're going to be talking about youth and mental health and what that looks like. So stay tuned, everyone. There's a video that's coming on after this. Pay attention to the video.
Thank you so much, by the way.
Of course. I appreciate you so much. The hearts. Oh, or this one. I know y'all do this one now. This is awesome. Y'all be like, hey, love you. All right, guys. Y'all have love you. I love y'all. Y'all have a blessed night, and I will see you next week, 7 p.m. Thursday. Stay tuned. Hey guys, Jermaine here. Thank you for watching this episode. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Listen, I am looking to transition everything to my YouTube channel. It is youtube.com/@AFCCS77. Go there, go subscribe, and let your people know, because a lot of my content is already on there. I have a series called Black Man Heal series. That was great. I Am series is on there. Join the Fight series is on there. And now this Inimitable podcast is on there. So all of the content that I've been putting together for the past, I don't know, year and a half. It's all on there. So please go check it out. Also, after this, there's going to be a flyer that's talking about Jermaine's ready to go to work. Okay. Mentoring young people and young adults between the ages of 14 and 26. I'm really trying to do that more. So if you know any programs and churches that have some young people that need mentorship and need group counseling, let me know. We can talk, we can contract, we can partner, and maybe doing more podcast episodes. I'm just ready to get in there. So again, go to YouTube. I will see you later. Check out this flyer. All right, bye.